Great. I'm happy with those. I move.
Thank you. Any seconder?
I second, Chair.
The agenda for our meeting for today has been duly adopted. I now take this opportunity to call upon the Provincial Commissioner to present the Gauteng South African Police Services crime stats for the second quarter of the 2023-24 financial year. Over to you, PC.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, members of the South African Police, the management of the South African Police Service in Gauteng, stakeholders, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today's presentation on crime statistics for the second quarter of 2023-2024 financial year, July to September. These crime statistics will be compared with the same period in 2022-2023. The presentation will show that as a province, we have worked very hard to reduce our overall crime statistics. We continue to work harder to implement our crime combating strategies in order to defend the positive gains achieved for the quarter under review. Honorable members, Gauteng is amongst the top 4 provinces that managed to reduce their overall crime. We were able to reduce the 10 out of the 17 community-reported serious crimes. Our strategies are bearing fruits as we are able to see that our deployments have translated into the detection of crime that would have otherwise never been reported. We have reduced the 17 community-reported serious crimes by 2.6%, which means that we have recorded 2,892 counts less than the same period in 2022. The reduction is attributed to the 3 broad categories, which include contact-related crime, property-related crimes, and other serious crime. Coming to the contact-related crimes, honorable members, ladies and gents, the category of contact-related crime comprises of arson, malicious damage to property. This category has decreased by 5.9%. which is 446 less counts compared to the same period in 2022. Arson reduced by 36 counts, while malicious damage to property is reduced by 410. Coming to property-related crime, ladies and gents, honorable members and honorable chairperson, the category of property-related crime has decreased by 5.4%, which translates to 1,281 less counts than the same period in 2022. This category comprises of burglary at residential premises, burglary at non-residential premises, theft of motor vehicles and motorcycle, theft out of or from motor vehicle, and stock theft. We have managed to reduce all these offenses except for theft out of or from motor vehicle, which has increased by 1.3%, translating to 81 more counts as compared to last year. Other serious crimes, honorable chairperson and honorable members, the category of other serious crime comprises of all theft not mentioned elsewhere, commercial crime and shoplifting. We have also managed to reduce this category by 3.5%, which translates to 1,203 counts less than the same period in 2022. Coming to rape, honorable members and honorable chairperson, rape in the province has been reduced by 7.4%, translating into a reduction of 167 counts. Coming to the contact crime, the overall category of contact crimes has increased with a small margin of 38 counts, which translates to an increase of 0.1%. The increase in contact crime is mainly attributed to robbery with aggravating circumstances and attempted murder. We have lost robbery with aggravating circumstances by 2.0%, which is 277 more counts as compared to the same period in 2022. While attempted murder increased by 140 counts, which translates to 8.9%. Crime detected as a result of police action. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, crime detected as a result of police action include 4 offenses, namely illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, drug-related crimes, driving under the influence of alcohol and/or drugs, and sexual offenses detected as a result of police action. The detection of this crime is dependent on the deployment of law enforcement and crime intelligence officers. For the quarter under review, Gauteng recorded 2,127 more counts, which translate into an increase by 14.7% as compared to the same period last year. Honorable members, an increase on this crime is a proof that our crime patterns and threat analysis, which guides our deployments, are spot on. For the quarter under review, we have managed to arrest 1,129 suspects for possession of unlicensed firearms and ammunition, while recovering 1,236 unlicensed firearms and 16,371 ammunition. We have also arrested 9,164 suspects for possession of drugs and 3,562 for dealing in drugs, while we seized 22,430 grams of various drugs. The Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation has managed to detect and close down 2 clandestine laboratories. Those are the drug laboratories which were manufacturing drugs in Sandton and Primrose. They seized the precursor chemicals and drugs to the estimated street value of 7.5 million. 5,012 motorists were arrested at roadblock across the province for driving under the influence of alcohol. We have also arrested 1,008 sexual offenders and managed to secure 42 lifetime imprisonment, with an additional of 1,084 years in prison for the quarter under review. Honorable members, Honorable Chairperson, we are concerned about the police killings. As the province, we have lost 8 members during the period under review. 3 were killed while off duty and 5 were killed while on duty. Police safety, as well as ensuring that members are operational ready for combat, remains a priority for the management of the police in Gauteng. We are also concerned that the phenomenon of multiple murders in the province is continuing, and the abuse of liquor remains a root cause for those murders. For the quarter under review, there were 82 dockets registered with 191 victims. We may remember the Davidton incident where 6 people were killed while 1 person was injured. It was reported that the victims were sitting outside a tavern when a group of unknown suspects approached and opened fire on them. Earlier the same day, 4 people were shot and killed at Davidton railway line next to Gabon informal settlement. The motive remains unknown. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, our response to the crime categories that have increased during the quarter under review is to heighten the crime fighting efforts over and above the daily activities as well as our weekly Operation Chanela. We must sustain the gains. We have therefore increased the frequency and the tempo of our crime prevention and combating operations by increasing police visibility through the blue light patrols, static deployments of rapid response vehicles at identified strategic roads, mounting of ad hoc and roving roadblocks according to the developed weekly operational metrics at identified national and provincial roads that are connecting Gauteng with its neighboring provinces, intensifying counterfeit goods operation by already established dedicated task team, increasing ground coverage by deploying more intelligence collectors at the hotspot areas to enhance community intelligence collection capabilities, working with community patrollers and community police forums. For all serious and violent crimes such as robbery aggravating, including cash-in-transit robberies, ATM bombings, and trio crimes, a response multidisciplinary team has already been established. It is hard at work. The team comprises of crime intelligence operators, specialized and seasoned detectives, specialized tactical forces, and private security partners. Honorable members, Honorable Chairperson, as I conclude, we call upon the community to continue supporting the police initiatives through information sharing and reporting crime. We also appealing to the public to refrain from buying stolen goods and harboring criminals. The recirculating old, horrible, insensitive videos and unfounded and unverified crime information. All this results in the waste of state resources, misdirected deployment, waste of valuable time for the law enforcement members. Over and above that, it causes unnecessary panic and anxiety in the community. Working together in a focused way, it will benefit all of us in our endeavor to create a safe and secure environment for all. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, I now hand over to Brigadier Chakalade to present the detailed second quarter 2023-2024 Gauteng crime statistics. I thank you.
Thank you, PC. Maybe just to correct us, one small thing is that I hear that you say you are handing over. Let me hand over. Oh. Okay, thank you very much.
Excellent Honorable Chairperson, I apologize.
Thank
Through
you
you.
very much. Sure, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Over to you, Brigadier. I thought you were going to come this side. Is it? Oh, okay. So, apparently there's a problem with the cable reaching there because they must present the slides. So, if we are all going to be able to focus this side, it will be appreciated. I know that some of you have put your mics there. Maybe you'd like to move them to that side so that you can be assisted. Over to you, Brigadier.
I don't know if I can freeze it. Chair, no, it freezes. You see? What did you guys do to my laptop?
We just have a little technical glitch. It's going to be sorted out soon.
Yeah. My apologies, Honorable Chair. There was just a small glitch in terms of showing up the slides. I also have to apologize that I will be doing the presentation while I'm seated because the cable is not reaching there at the podium. Let me also acknowledge the chairperson in absentia, as well as the honorable members, management of the SAPS, as well as the metros that are present, media, and different stakeholders. Good morning. Honorable Chair, I will be taking you through the second quarter crime statistic of Gauteng, covering the period July up until September 2023. Already PC, in his opening remarks, covered or did the synopsis of the performance of the province during quarter two. I will just take you through to different specific crime where I will be zooming into or unpacking some of the crime just to have an idea in going into details, how did we perform. I will start with what we call the crime overview, reflecting all four categories of crime, whereby we reflect how 17 community reported has done in terms of the province performance. In relation to our contact crime during the period under review, we had some few reduction under this category. We mainly sexual offenses, assault with intent to inflict grievous bodily harm, as well as common robbery. With sexual offenses, we reduced by 8.7%. In total, 250 counts were reduced. In relation to assault with intent to inflict grievous bodily harm, there was a reduction of 127 counts, reflecting a reduction of 1.3%. In relation to common robbery, there was also a reduction of 143 counts, 3.5% reduction. Those that reflected an increase under this category is murder. 46 counts more were reported, to a 2.9% increase. Attempted murder also increased by 140 counts, 8.9% increase. Common assault also increased by 95 counts, 0.8%. Robberies with aggravating circumstances also increased by 277, 2% increase. As a result, due to 4 of the 7 having an increase in this category, the contact crime increased by 38 counts, 0.1% increase. Still on contact crime, however, zooming into sexual offenses as well as the subcategory of robbery aggravating, looking at the offenses that are covered under those two subcategories. Under sexual offenses, rape reduced by 167 counts, 7.4% reduction. Sexual assault also reduced by 105 counts, 20.5%. Attempted sexual offenses, however, increased by 29 counts. Contact sexual offenses also reduced by 7 counts. Looking under robbery aggravated, the first 3, which is categorized as trio, which is carjacking, increased by 39 counts. Robberies at residential premises also increased by 347. Robberies at non-residential premises increased by 85. As a result, the trio crime increased by 471, 7.3% increase. Looking at the robberies of cash in transit, we had 22 incidents in total, which reflected an increase of 6 counts. We did not have any bank incident during the quarter under review. However, the previous period, we had 2 of those. As a result, we reflected the reduction of 2 counts. Truck hijacking, we reduced by 45 counts, totaling to 13.4% reduction. Moving over to contact-related category, the 2 offenses under this category, which is arson as well as malicious damage to property, have reduced. Arson reduced by 36 count, malicious damage to property, a reduction of 410. Looking at the property-related crime, the categories reduced by 5.4%, a total of 1,281 counts. This is mainly due to 4 of the 5 crime offenses having a reduction. Burglaries at non-residential premises reducing by 300 counts, 9% reduction. Burglaries at residential premises reduced by 915, 10.1%. In terms of theft of motor vehicle, also reduced by 104, 2% reduction. Theft out of motor vehicle increased by 81 counts. Stock theft reduced by 43 counts. Looking at other serious crime, the 2 of the 3 have increased, which is commercial crime and shoplifting by 76 and 161 respectively. Theft general or theft not mentioned elsewhere reduced by a significant amount of 1,440, 7.4% reduction. In total, covering the 4 categories of 17 community property, we have 3 reduced, only 1 increase. As a result, 17 community reported have reduced by 2,892 counts, 2.6% reduction. Looking at the crime detected as a result of police action, the category. This is where mainly we determine the police effectiveness in terms of fighting crime, whereby for this category we prefer to have an increase as opposed to 17 community reported, where we prefer to have a reduction. So for this category, we have increased by 14.7%, a total of 2,127 counts more. The offenses which reflected an increase is illegal possession of firearm and ammunition, increasing by 2 counts, drug-related crime, 1,294 counts more, driving under the influence of alcohol, 745 counts more. Sexual offenses also increased by 86. Looking at the kidnapping, just to conclude the overview of Gauteng for Q3, kidnapping has increased by 90 counts. Honorable Chair, this is just a population figure that we are going to use in the next coming slide, whereby we're going to show the crime per capita, zooming into contact crime, because here we are focusing where the unit of measure is a person. We need to determine the probability of people being affected or being victims of crime out of 100,000 population. As we can see that Gauteng population has been steadily over 16 million, which is a figure mainly higher than the other province. So the offenses that we're going to look at in terms of the crime rate is murder, rape, attempted murder, assault with intent to inflict grievous bodily harm, common assault, as well as common robbery. The offenses whereby the per capita have reduced as compared with the previous period is rape. It's 12.7 per 100,000. The other whereby we have a reduction of per capita is assault with intent to inflict grievous bodily harm with 57.7 per 100,000. Common assault is 76.6 per 100,000, as well common robbery 24.1 per 100,000. The increases were reflected by murder as well as attempted murder. Murder is 9.9 per 100,000. Attempted murder is 10.4 per 100,000. With this slide, Honorable Chair, we have noticed that obviously the number in terms of Gauteng will always reflect higher compared to other provinces. Even the probability of volumes of crime that we are recording are likely to be higher than the other province. So even for murder, in terms of the volume, the province had higher numbers of volume. In terms of looking at the murder rate, this is where we bring into focus the population size to determine the fairness between the province or equal calculation. So we bring into focus the 100,000 for each province. As we can see, when we bring that into equation, Gauteng will rank number 4 in terms of the murder rate with 9.9%, meaning there are other 3 offenses of murder rate having a higher murder rate than Gauteng, which is Eastern Cape, Western Cape, as well as KwaZulu-Natal. Honorable Chair, still on the contribution of the province towards the national figure, we have been consistent on this figure. However, we have observed the slight reduction over the period. For this current period, the Gauteng province have contributed 27.7% towards the national figure of 17 community reported. Just to reflect what I've just said, looking at the 5-year trend, we have seen that the figure, it has been considerable stable over the period of year. However, we have been observing marginal reduction there. So between the current and the previous period, we have seen a reduction of total of 2,892 counts. Just to conscientize, the figure above is the total overall count that were recorded, and the percentage reflect the contribution towards the national figure. So in the 5-year trend, there was a reduction of over 6,000 that we have encountered, and between the current and the previous, between 2022 and 23, there was a reduction of 2,892 counts lesser of our contribution towards the national figure. Looking at the district performance, during the 3 months of the quarter, July, August, and September, we have recorded a reduction of our 17 community reported as a province, of which this reduction were most noticeably in July with the total of 2,394. In August, we reduced by 204, and then in September, 294 counts less that were recorded as a province. Looking at the district performance, it's only Sedibeng district, whereby they had an increase of their 17 community reported by 209, 2009, 3.3% increase. Reduction were observed under all 4 of districts. The highest reduction in terms of the counts was Tshwane with 1,269, followed by Ekurhuleni 793. The contribution of each district towards the provincial figure in terms of the percentage, the highest contributor towards our overall volume is Johannesburg as well as Tshwane, with Johannesburg contributing 36.8%, Tshwane 26.2% towards our provincial figure of 17 community reported. Chairperson, we also have a 17 community reported. These are our top 40 stations carrying most volume in terms of the 17 community reported. From this top 40, 11 of those, which are the top 11 stations, also feature in the national list. However, I will mention the top 5, which is Johannesburg Central, Midrand, Rotherport, Brooklyn, as well as Honeydew. You will notice, Honorable Chair, that Johannesburg Central, even though it's number 1 in the province, as well as number 4 in the national station, however, this station have recorded a reduction of 66 counts. So their position on, for them to be in position 1 is because of the volume. However, the overall figure have reduced by 66 counts. Looking into the summary of this station, out of 40, 23 stations recorded a reduction and 17 stations indicated an increase. And of those that reported an increase, Rotherport was the highest in terms of the number of reduction of increases with 235, and Honeydew 751 for those that reflected the reduction. These are the remainder of our session. Looking at the contribution of this top 40 towards our provincial figure, this station alone contributed 48.5% for Q2. Also covering this top 40, because we have been monitoring the performance of this top 40, whether to see there is a movement in terms of the reduction of overall crime or the contribution that they're making towards the provincial figure. We have also noticed the reduction of this station, of this top 40 station. In terms of the counts, they have reduced by 1,637, meaning there's some little enrolled into this station, reducing crime, because we have observed a reduction of that particular number, 1,637. Even when you look at the 5-year trend, over 4,000 counts were reduced between now and 2019 for the performance of this top 40. Contact crime during the 3 months of the quarter, we have reduced in July with 685. However, in August as well as September, we have increased our contact crime. August went up by 112, September up by 611. The district, in terms of the performance or reducing the crime, the increases were reflected by Johannesburg as well as Citibank. Johannesburg up by 280, Citibank up by 288 overall counts of contact crime. The reduction, the 3 of the district have reduced, of which the highest reduction in terms of the volume is Tshwane with 205, followed by Ekurhuleni 182. The contributors still with this one remain Johannesburg with 38.7% and Ekurhuleni 24.8%. This is in relation to volumes towards the overall figure of contact crime. Honorable Chair, we also have a contact crime top 40 station, of which the 13 of those also feature in the national list. When you look at the top 5 of our station from the contact crime, is Johannesburg Central, Tembisa, Temba, Hillbrow, and Alexandra. You will notice Johannesburg also feature as number 1 for the province for the contact crime. However, even for the contact crime, they were able to reduce the contact crime by 1 count. Even in the top 5 of the station is only one that reflected an increase, which is Hillbrow. The other 4 from our top 5, although they are remaining the top 5 position, they have, however, reduced the contact crime for the quarter under review. In terms of the summary of the station, the increases were reflected by 21 stations and reduction by 19 stations from the station of the contact crime. These are a reminder also of a contact crime during the period under review, of which this station contributed 50.7% towards our contact crime figure for the province during Q2. Honorable Chair, looking at the crimes that were perpetrated against women and children, for women, we are looking at women over the ages of 18 and children, the age is children covering both boys and girls between the ages of 0 and 17. Looking at women, Zooming into murder, attempted murder, and assault. In total, in Gauteng, for quarter under review, 172 women were murdered. However, it reflected a reduction of 22 counts, 11.3% reduction. In terms of whereby women were victims of attempted murder, in total is 396, reflecting an increase of 88. Whereby women were assaulted with intent to cause grievous bodily harm, there was an increase of 39 counts. Looking at children, 34 children were murdered. However, there was a reduction of 5 counts. Attempted murder, whereby kids were the victims of this specific crime. There was an increase of 12 counts, whereby kids were assaulted with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. In total, a reduction of 84 counts. Honorable Chair, this slide reflects the overall figure in terms of the crimes linked to domestic violence that were reported by the province. In total, we had 10,236 cases of all those that were reflected. The increases were mostly recorded during the month of September, with a total of 3,656. Looking at the district contribution towards this figure, Johannesburg there has the highest numbers of volume towards that 10,000 figure, with a total of 3,841. In terms of the proportional contribution, they contributed 38%. The second most district contributing towards our domestic violence related cases is Tshwane with 2,322, proportional contribution 23%. The rest of the district can be observed from the slide. Looking at the specific crime whereby they were linked to domestic violence, however, I will zoom into the 3 which are our main contributor, which is common assault, as well as the common assault, as well as the assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm, as well as malicious damage to property. So looking at the cases of common assault, in total we had 4,699, whereby victims were mainly the victims there. Female were mainly the victims of this particular crime that were linked to domestic violence, with a total of 3,846 male, covering 853, of which all the districts there had a contribution towards that. The highest contributor of this figure is Johannesburg with 1,867. The second most offense whereby domestic violence also played a role in the province is assault with intent to inflict grievous bodily harm, with a total of 1,771. Still with this one, the victims mainly were female with 1,196, male with 575. All the district contributed towards the figure. Malicious damage to property in total is 1,427, with female victims being in the majority with 906, male 521. However, I will also touch upon the murder, attempted murder, as well as rape, in terms of whereby the domestic violence also linked to those offenses. In relation to our murder, in total is 31. However, looking at this one, majority of victims were male with 18 and female with 13. The district with the highest number of people who were murdered as a result of domestic violence is Citibank, as well as Tshwane, whereby each district have 7 cases of those. Looking at attempted murder is 50 in total, female being the majority of victims, 35, male 15, and lastly rape there. In total it was 141, still with this one female being in the majority of 137 as the victims of this particular crime. Moving over to our murders. Murder during the quarter under review, in 3 months of the quarter, July we reduced by 61, August it went up with 61, September increased also with 46. Looking at the district only, Tshwane as well as Western managed to reduce the murders. Tshwane reduced by 11 counts, 4.7% reduction, and Western reduced by 67, 45.6%, wherever the other 3 districts have increased, with Johannesburg increasing by 63 counts, Ekurhuleni by 54, Citibank by 7. The contributing district in terms of the volumes there is Johannesburg as well as Ekurhuleni, with the highest percentage there. Looking at the factors that contributed towards our murder during the quarter under review, argument, misunderstanding, and road rages still remain our main contributor towards our murder. These are all the cases related, mainly contributional related factors there, with the from the sample of 1,610 that we took out of 1,625 that were recorded as a province. So basically we sampled 99% of those cases of murder that were reported. The second most contributor towards our murder during period under reviews is robberies with 136. Vigilantism also had a 76 cases of those, and gang-related with 39. In terms of the other phenomena that is contributing towards our murder, as PC indicated in his opening remarks, we still have noticed that the multiple murder, this is whereby in one incident there were more than one victim that were killed. So in total as a province we registered 82 dockets resulting in 191 victims that were killed. Just to single out those that stood out during this period is whereby in one incident we had 5 or more. So the first one, it was that one of Davidton of 6 in one incident, as well as Benoni 5 in one incident. The other phenomena is the murder, whereby we had total 8 who were murdered, of which 5 of those were on duty and 3 were off duty. In relation to murders that are happening either at the farms or small holding, we had one incident that were recorded. This is whereby the victim was a farm dweller or resident in the period under review. Place of occurrence, this is where the crime scene, so to say, where the murder took place. So in the same sample, public place such as street and open field, in total 915 of those were determined as the most place where these murders took place. The second most is residence of the perpetrator and victim. This is place that is known to either the victim or the perpetrator, with a total of 330. Liquor outlets also played a role there with the 63 counts there to determine the place of murder. Moving over to the instrument used during the commission of this particular crime, firearms still remain the instrument that is preferred by this perpetrator when they commit this murder, with a total of 884. This 884 represent the number of people that were murdered during that particular period by firearm. The second most instrument that is used by the perpetrator is knife with 157 and sharp instrument with 77. We also have a top 40 murder station, of which 6 of those reflected in the national list of murder top 30. The top 5 are GP, Ivory Park, Hillbrow, Primrose, Johannesburg Central. To summarize, this top 40, 8 stations decreased, 2 stabilized, as well as the 30 of the station indicated an increase of their murder during the period under review. This is the remainder of our top 40 for murder. 64% is contributed by this station during the period. Rape, we reduced rape during July, August, as well as September in the quarter. With July, we reduced by 87, August 58, September 27. Looking at the district, only Sidibeng as well as Tshwane increases their rape during the period under review. Tshwane increased by 9, Sidibeng by 17. The reduction were reflected by Johannesburg with 137, Western 47, and 9 by Ekurhuleni. The contributors still remain in Johannesburg as well as Ekurhuleni in terms of the volumes. The top 40 of our rape station, of which 10 of those reflected in the national list of the top 30 for rape, Ivory Park, Moroka, Mamelodi East, Acacia, and Katlehong. Those are our top 5 stations for rape. In terms of the summary of the station, 19 stations indicated a reduction, 1 stabilized, a total of 20 indicated an increase of rape counts during the period under review. The remainders of our station for top 40, this top 40 station of rape, indicated a contribution of 55.9%. When we look at the place of occurrence, this is whereby these incidents took place during the period under review, still looking at the same sample of 1,447. The most common place where these incidents took place is the residence of perpetrator, victim. This is place that is commonly known either by both the perpetrator or the victim, with a total of 851. Public place also remained the second most place where these incidents took place, with 361. The mode of transport, such as bus, car, plane, also played a role with the 24 counts. The trio crime, July, we reduced our trios by 23. However, in August as well as September, there was an increase. August, we increased by 209, September, 285. Looking at the district, Citibank and Tshwane reduced the trio crime, with Citibank reducing by 11 counts, Tshwane by 8 counts. The increases were reflected by Johannesburg by 412, Ekurhuleni by 72, West Rand 7. Still with these particular offenses, the two remaining districts are contributors towards the overall volumes. Top 40 station of the trios, 15 of those also reflected in the national list. The top 5 being Tembisa, Boysens, Protea, as well as Midrand and Johannesburg Central. Looking at the summary of this station, 10 stations indicated the reduction, 1 stabilized, and 29 indicated an increase. Remainders of our top 40 trio station, the station contributed 52.6% towards our Gauteng trio crime figure for Q2. Carjacking, unpacking the trio crime, carjacking we reduced in July by 85 counts. August and September, there was an increase. August went up by 17 counts. September, an increase of 107. Looking at the district, it was only Johannesburg, which reflected an increase of 137. Reduction were reflected by Ekurhuleni 40 counts less, followed by West Rand 29 counts less, Tshwane 20 counts less, Citibank 8 councillors. Still with this one, Ekurhuleni and Johannesburg being our contributors towards the provincial figure. The top 40 carjacking station, of which 16 of those also feature in the national list. The top 5 being Protea, Moroka, Orange Farm, Olive and Houtbosch, Bramley, the top station of which Bramley reduced by 2.9%. Summarizing this station, top 40, 16 stations reflected the reduction, as well as 24 indicating an increase, which Protea having the highest with 49 counts, Pretoria West the highest in terms of those that reflect the reduction by 32 counts. Remainders of our station, for carjacking, the station contributed 60.3% towards our Gauteng carjacking figure for Q2. Robbery at residential premises, July, August, September of the quarter, we have increased this particular offense. In July, we increased by 63 counts, August 143, September 141. Citibank, looking at the district, was the only district reflecting a reduction of 11 counts, 7.4% reduction. Increases, the highest were from Johannesburg by 192, Ekurhuleni by 140, the two districts remaining the main contributor towards our provincial figure. Robberies at residential premises, the top 40, 16 of those also feature in the national list, which is Tembisa, Boysens, Moffat View, Rutherford, and Protea. The station, 6 of those decreased, and 34 indicated an increase for quota, with Tembisa having the highest in terms of those that reflected an increase with 39 counts, and Springs with 22 for those that reflected the reduction. Remainders of our station for robberies at residential premises, of which the station contributed 58.1% towards Gauteng robberies at residential premises figure. Looking at the non-residential, July we reduced by 1 count, August 49 up, September 37 up. The district reduction were reflected by Ekurhuleni with 21 and Tshwane with 6. Increases were highest by Johannesburg with 83. The two districts with mainly contributing is Ekurhuleni as well as Johannesburg in terms of the volumes. The top 40s of our non-residential premises, 15 of those also feature in the national list, which is Johannesburg Central, Kempton Park, Midrand, Boysen, and Diplov. Those are our top 5 from the list. Looking at the summary of the station, 9 stations reflected the reduction, 4 stabilized, and 27 indicated an increase, and those that reflected an increase, Takane was the high in terms of number of counts with 20 counts, and GP with 14 for those that reflected the reduction. Remainders of our station, this station contributed 55.6% towards our provincial figure. The robberies of cash in transit, the CITs. For July, we reduced by 1, August, we stabilized, the number remained constant as the numbers that we recorded for the current and the previous, it was the same. September, there was the increase of 7 counts. Looking at the district, the increases were reflected by Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg, and Tshwane, and the two districts, which is Citibank and Western, they stabilized that number. So from the breakdown of this 22, 8 were from Ekurhuleni, 7 from Johannesburg, 3 from each district, which is Tshwane and West Rand, and 1 incident of CIT came from Sedibeng. The contributors for this in terms of the cash in transit is Johannesburg as well as Ekurhuleni. When you look at the type of CIT, breaking down, there's a contribution by type there. With cross pavement in total we had 9. Looking at the district contribution, from the cross pavement Ekurhuleni had 4, Johannesburg had 3, whereas Sedibeng and West Rand each having 1 of the cross pavement. The merchant retail, we had 1 coming from Johannesburg, and then this incident took place at the branch depot. It was in West Rand, Krugersdorp. And then whereby the AV armored vehicle was on the road, we had total of those of 10. Looking at the breakdown of that, Ekurhuleni had 4 of those, Johannesburg 2, Tshwane 3, and West Rand. When you look at the method that was used to gain access to the money from the AV car, the explosives were used in 3 incidents, and then pointing of fire or threatening, 8 of those. Shot at the vehicle is 8. Combination of the shot as well as the explosive is 2. Looking at the companies that were targeted, G4S in total is 14, FCS was 5, EasyCash 2. EasyCash was 2. Truck hijacking we reduced with the 3 months of the quarter. In July, 6 counts less. August, we went down by 15 counts. September, 24 counts less. Looking at the district, Sedibeng as well as West Rand increases the carjacking during period under review, with West Rand having 4 more. The reduction, Johannesburg as well as Tshwane having the highest in terms of the reduction. Tshwane with 22, Johannesburg with 1. Even with this one, Johannesburg and Ekurhuleni contributed most. Truck hijacking, in total, we have 21 of those stations from the national list. Mentioning the top 5 is Orange Farm, Alberton, Bekkersdal, Acacia, as well as Kempton Park. In summarizing this station, 13 of those reflected the reduction, 3 stabilized, 24 indicated an increase, and of those that reflected an increase, Orange Farm came the highest with 12 counts, and Boksburg North came the highest for those that reflected the reduction by 6 counts. These are the remainders of our truck hijacking station. This station contributed 83.4% towards our Gauteng truck hijacking figure for Q2. Kidnapping we reduced during August by 9, by July by 9, August went up by 88 counts, September 11 more. Looking at the district, Johannesburg as well as Sedibeng increased. Johannesburg went up, increases their kidnapping by 156, Sedibeng by 23. Reductions were reflected by Tshwane with 44 counts less, West Rand by 19, Ekurhuleni 15, the 2 districts contributing there towards our figure. We also have a top 40 station, of which 23 of those also feature in the national list. Mentioning the top 5 is Protea, Moroka, Orange Farm, GP, as well as Ivory Park. The increases were reflected by 25 stations, whereas the reduction were reflected by 15 stations from this top 40 kidnapping station. This station contributed 61.4% towards our figure of the province for kidnapping. When you look in terms of the sample of 2,064 counts, just to determine the 3 causative factors. Random, this is whereby the ransom was demanded, in total 81 from the sample analyzed. Extortion, we had 6, and then human trafficking, we couldn't determine those that were as a result of human traffic. Property related, we reduced this offense throughout the 3 months of the quarter, with July reducing by 460, August 373, September 448. All the districts reduced these particular offenses, of which the highest reduction in terms of the volumes was from Johannesburg with 323, followed by Tshwane 292, Sedibeng 255, West Rand 235, and Ekurhuleni reduced by 167. With this one, the contributing district towards our provincial figure is Johannesburg with 33.3, Tshwane with 30%. We also had a top 40 of property related, the top 5 being Brooklyn, Honeydew, Kempton Park, Rutherford, as well as Wildebrug. The summary of this station, 25 stations indicated the reduction, 2 stabilized, and 13 stations indicated an increase. And Kempton Park, in terms of those that reflected an increase, came the highest with 122 counts. Honeydew, for those that reflected the reduction, with 71 counts less. The contribution of this top 40 station towards our provincial figure, they contributed 54%. Stock theft, we also reduced stock theft throughout the 3 months of the quarter, with July having down by 10 counts, August 17 counts less, September 16 counts less. The only two districts that contributed or had an increase is Johannesburg and Citibank. Johannesburg up by 4 counts, Citibank up by 1 count. Reduction were reflected by Western with 18 counts, both Tshwane and Ekurhuleni each reduced by 15 counts. Contributing district are Tshwane and Western for the stock theft in the province. Although we don't have any station featured in the stock theft for national, however, we are having our top 40, this in terms of the volumes, the top 5 being Hammanskraal, Bronkhorstspruit, Fochville, Temba, and Randfontein. Looking at the summary of the station, 13 stations indicated the reduction for stabilize, and 23 indicated an increase, and of those that reflected an increase, Fochville came the highest with 5 counts, and Bronkhorstspruit with 13 counts less for those that reflected the reduction. The station alone contributed 93% towards our Gauteng stock theft figure. Just to conclude my presentation, Honorable Chair, just to give a summary of all the district in terms of the performance. Here we are looking in terms of the reduction or increases of offenses out of 17 community reported. So Tshwane, out of 17, they were able to reduce 14 of those, 14 offenses. Western, out of 17 community reported offenses, they reduced 12. And Ekurhuleni, out of 17, they reduced 11. Johannesburg, out of 17 community reported offenses, they reduced 10. And Citibank, they reduced 15. As a result, as a province, we came the third in terms of the number of reduction from national. We reduced 10 out of 17 community reported. With that being said, I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. And my apologies for arriving late. Had circumstances that I couldn't avoid in the morning. But I'm glad that we managed to continue with the presentation. And thanks to Honorable Member Kanyile, who took over and handled the ship, moving it forward. PC, morning, and to your team. I wouldn't want to make a lot of comments except to request maybe the members of the committee to ask questions. Overall, when I joined, I got to a point where there is a slight indication that there are critical categories of crime where we've seen a lot of reduction, particularly as it relates to domestic violence and murder. But I wanted to indicate that, you know, statistics, sometimes they become a bit of a problem because they don't really sometimes reflect the lived experience of our citizens in the province. But I'll allow members of the committee to ask questions, and thereafter we will break for tea, and then we continue with the meeting afterwards, particularly as it relates to the media engagements. Member Kanyile.
Thank you, Chair. Let me confirm, first of all, welcome the presentation, but let me also confirm what you've heard, Chair. I think from the opening remarks or remarks by the PC that there has been drastic reduction on a number of categories of crime. But my 3 areas that I would like clarity on is, or maybe just further information, is the following. One is on Operation Chanela. I want the PC to confirm what I'm going to say, or maybe correct me. One is that it is our understanding that Operation Chanela is a result of the success of Gauteng Police in Gauteng, which has now been elevated to be a national campaign. And as a result of that, I just want to, if that is correct, I want to hear from the PC if Operation Gauteng still continues even on the days which are not national focus. You remember that in the past, the PC said when they launched Operation Gauteng and continued with it, if it was in one region, there would still be continuity in other regions by the different police stations. So I just want to find out if that's still the case, that as Operation Chanela takes place, which maybe outside of our province, but Operation Ukaimla still continues. That's the first question. The second one, Chair, is the concern by particularly people of Gauteng around the issue of Zamazamas. I just want the PC to give us an indication, just a comment, if what are the impression of the police? Are we able to fight? Are we winning? Is there a dent we're making in trying to fight these Zamazamas? Lastly, Chair, I see the report on the kidnappings, and there's an element that about 6 counts, if I'm not mistaken, of extortion. I want to go back to what the Chair has said. Sometimes some people have this view that there are stats, but then there's lived reality. There's this issue that it would seem that, maybe we're not referring to the same cases, but let me make the point. It would seem that you've got instances that are increasing in the province, just based on what people are saying, where people get hijacked with their cars taken somewhere, they're asked to open their phones, then money is taken out of them and they are released. Are these the same cases you're referring to when you say 6 counts of extortion, or it's something else, and how are those cases reported? So those are the 3 areas I wanted to comment on. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, no, thank you very much, Chairperson. Just a few questions and comments. I actually see that in terms of murder, and I hope I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, but it seems we have actually increased by 2.9%. And I think even the last time there were challenges around the murder rate in our province, and I think it is time that we actually declare this crime as a crisis in our province, which means some of the plans or strategies that we have introduced in the last year have not worked in terms of reducing that particular category. So maybe at the next interaction with the Provincial Commissioner, we will also request that we get a presentation on a strategy that will focus on reducing the murder rate in our province. And I think it is also time for us to share with the Provincial Commissioner that at our last meeting, out of frustration and concern as a committee, we did ask for a legal opinion of us declaring a crime in our province and probably later nationally. We declare it a state of emergency around issues of crime, because we are part of citizens of this province, but also we interact on a regular basis with our communities who display fear that they might actually be victims of crime, and fear, of course, that they might be murdered. And I think through this interaction today and maybe later with the Provincial Commissioner, we really need to come up with a strategy to seriously zoom in at causes of this particular crime, and then also come up with a strategy to reduce it. If we manage through Ukaimulao to reduce the number of wanted dangerous criminals, we can be able to come up with a way of reducing the murder rate. Chair, whilst on rape we are at 7.4%, but I'm still worried about the volumes. We are at 2,096 people who get raped in just in 3 months. I think it's a problem. And remember, when we give statistics on rape, we also include children who have been raped, Chair. And unfortunately, and I'm going to repeat what I usually say, is that we are becoming a country where children and women are actually, the environment in our country is not conducive for a healthy, happy living for those particular category of citizens, which they are actually vulnerable. And I think it is important that whilst welcoming the 167 reduction, we also need to raise a concern on the volumes of people who get raped in our province. The other issue, Chair, is the issue of attempted murder and assault. Chair, it seems we are a very aggressive and very angry nation where people just beat each other on a daily basis. I mean, the increase of 140 is a challenge, which takes us to 8.9%. And remember, some of the people who have been attempted, where people have attempted to murder others, some of these people end up dying after some time, either in hospital or at home. And maybe because people don't come back and report that a person who have been attempted, who have actually beaten up, seriously beaten up, have died, it actually doesn't actually reflect on the people who have been murdered. Chair, we welcome the efforts of the police in terms of crime that is actually as a result of police actions around guns, around around drugs, drugs as well. And I think it is important for us to sustain that, because we really need to work hard in making sure that we reduce drugs on our drug consumption in our province, and of course reduce drug loads on our communities. But I think it is also important, Chair, that whilst we look at those statistics, we really need to, at some point, PC, we need to get a report that will then indicate how many drug labs have actually been closed, and what happens thereafter. It should not just be closing those drug labs, but we also need to follow the people who have actually been arrested for actually manufacturing drugs in our province. Chair, maybe that we will be getting a presentation by other law enforcement agencies in terms of their contribution in reducing crime, so that it should not only be SAPS that accounts. We must also get other law enforcement agencies accounting on what is supposed to be done, what are they doing to reduce crime in our province. But also, Chair, the other day, I think about a week ago, coming back from dropping my sister's daughter at school, you know, I actually saw a display of Amandla from ADT, PC. Kunama Hipo, or what do they call it? Lemon. And Kumbudi security forces, security companies are actually entitled or are allowed to actually deal with crowds. And maybe we'll get an explanation. Maybe this came after the premier. I've met with them. Now, ama water, you know, what do you call it? Is it water tankers? Oh, water, what am water cannons? What am hippo? Hey, is that to Malay South Africa? You know, and I think it is important. Whilst we encourage that people must use private security in fighting crime, but we should not allow lawlessness, where private security might think that they are the law enforcement agencies of this country. They're not. whatever that they do, they must actually do it in consultation or be allowed by SAPS to do that. It should be there should be control. You know, in Kinga Yoguti, we have moved away from being a law and order department to a department of police. And people think that Bangaiza no Mamupu umatanda in our country. And I think it is important, Chair, that we welcome the participation of some of these partners, but we must also emphasize that they must actually do it within the confines of the law. Whilst having said that, Chair, the reason why there is issues of extortion, some of the people who actually get mugged or kidnapped, they are kidnapped by vehicles that are now abusing emergency lights. And maybe and that the Commissioner, at the next interaction with you, you need to also indicate to us how do we then fight against those that are using or abusing emergency lights. I mean, there are those white ones that they're using, and people cannot actually differentiate between a police vehicle, whether it's blue or it's actually silver, white, whatever you call it. But I think it is time that we actually minimize the number of emergency lights in our streets, because they end up being abused against vulnerable communities. And lastly, Chair, I also want to raise the issue of crime that is committed against all people. When they come back from getting, of course, from the banks, getting their monthly pension, there is this new strategy to kidnap them, babafake iguma polo, baba search, and I'm sure most police stations have received such complaints. I mean, again, this is linked to what I said about the fear that is amongst our young children and women, that they are scared that they might actually become victims of crime. Now, all of a sudden, including now it is the people who are now exposed to serious crimes, it's also our grandmothers and grandfathers, and probably it will be people with disabilities. And I think it is also important that we focus on that. And PC understand our frustration as a committee, and and hence we then decided as a committee that we want to see our province being declared, to declare a state of emergency. Hence we actually, maybe I should say, hence we propose that we look at declaring our province a state of emergency in our province. And unfortunately, the law doesn't allow us to actually declare a state of emergency. It can only be the president, or with the influence or recommendation from the minister. But it is out of frustration, and also us trying to make sure that we represent our people in this province. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson. Mine is just to ask or seek clarity. When they present the report, they always speak of kidnapping, and then I don't know whether human trafficking is also under the kidnapping. Maybe I seek clarity. And then in terms of murderers, I've seen that most murderers are committed through firearms. So I just want to check with the PC, maybe when they do Operation Okai Mulao, are there any guns confiscated? And then if so, maybe how many of them are they confiscated? Have they confiscated? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members. We'll allow the PC to come in with the team to respond to the questions. But I think it's important that we emphasize some of the few points that members have actually spoken to, and some of the concerns that we've raised as a committee also in the past. It is just disappointing that the Department of Community Safety is not here today. So some of the issues and questions, I think it's an anomaly that the department is not here. I haven't personally received any apology, and it's something that we are going to take up with the leader of government business and maybe with the premier, because some of the aspects that we are dealing with here are part of the elevated priorities for the premier and the province in this year that we are in. We are particularly concerned, I think Member Malobane speaks about it, that the lived experience of Gauteng citizens and particularly of South Africans speaks volumes, even though the statistics that have been presented show a bit of a downward trend in a context, but the lived experience is a problem, and it should be taken into account when we raise some of the concerns that we have. We have discussed as a committee extraordinary measures that needs to be introduced to safeguard and protect the citizens of Gauteng. And these extraordinary measures, in a way, you can say that we are talking about the state of emergency, which we quite rightfully know that as a province we don't have the authority to do it. But we need to put extraordinary measures on the ground. Appreciating Operation Shanyela as one of the high-density operations that you undertake, but there should be something more that we actually do. We know that alcohol drives a lot of the crimes categories that we look at in terms of statistics. So it means that we might have to do more in terms of alcohol regulation. I know as a matter of fact that in Limpopo there is a High Court case to challenge the regulation of alcohol. I think it's all about the time of closure of the taverns and and shebins, and there's a challenge to that effect. So maybe we need to ask the Gauteng citizens that, are we really in love with alcohol, so much in love with alcohol that we can forego our security and forego our safety? And this is a discussion that we need to have with the Gauteng Liquor Board and also with the taverners or shebeen owners and so on, because we need to have a balance. It shouldn't be about that, the love of imbibing alcohol, that we forego our safety. So most in the future engagements will have to call the liquor board to be part of this engagement, so that we come up with some of the measures that will help from the side of liquor business, that we alcohol selling business, that we're able to reduce some of the categories of crime. All of them, whether it's assault, murder, rape, arguments and so on, all of those are actually driven by alcohol. So we need to have some form of a focused attention to the issue relating to alcohol consumption. We still have to talk about the movements. I know that we fought for freedom. We fight for the right of people to move freely across the country and across the province. But on its own, that movement, we have seen that it is a bit of a problem. So the increased movement of citizens or individuals across the province also has got a direct relation and correlation with crime. That is the reason why when you've got month-end period, you get a high number of crime actually reported, and there are the special periods like when schools are opening and schools are functioning. So we need to have a discussion about regulation and also talk about that. Do we really love our freedom that we forego our safety? Those are the questions that we need actually to look at. The other issue that relates to extraordinary measures, other than the alcohol regulation and movement regulation, is the issue of undocumented foreign nationals. I think it's a matter that we need to also focus on. The extraordinary measures can allow us, as a province, as a country, to document and even close up the borders for some time so that we can be able to do a particular audit of foreign nationals in the country. And this cannot be done under normal circumstances. So we need to have some form of measures that are put in place. The issue of community mobilization still becomes a big issue. We see the incidence of vigilantism that is continuing, but we still need to see more of the CPFs getting more organized and getting more functional. We are still concerned that the coordination of the provincial command, the command center, provincial integrated provincial command center, it's been 2 years now, okay, even more than that, even before I joined the committee that we are talking about it. And the establishment of it is still an issue that is not happening. I'm not sure if we don't have better coordination on the ground, how effective would be in dealing with actual crime. And the standoff of the minister and the province on the crime prevention wardens. I thought all of us, when the crime prevention wardens, we all welcomed that. We all spoke highly about it, and we all party to the discussion towards their introduction. And the standoff now doesn't give us confidence. It doesn't give the citizens of our country confidence that the measures that we put in, they do work. Maybe the question should be, PC, how far are we and how are we working with CPWs on the ground? I've seen that in most instances, they are not used where they are supposed to be utilized, on the street and doing patrolling. I've seen some doing affidavits in the police station, which I don't think they were supposed to be in that space. And lastly, there's a big concern about trans-border taxi ranks across the province. I think there's one that we went to when we did a walkabout around the Easters, the one that goes to Lesotho. But there's another one around, I think, is it Wanderers or GP, where they go to, I think it's Zimbabwe, Zambia, and so on. There's a big concern, and the concern is all about the criminal activities that could happen or that citizens around those areas are actually complaining about, human trafficking, kidnapping, drugs, and so on and so on. So we should have some focus on these trans-border ranks that we have, particularly in Joburg and in Pretoria, which is a big thing. So overall, we do welcome the presentation of statistics and the overall contextual reduction in many categories, which we shouldn't downplay. It's very significant. We should celebrate the small victories as we get, but the concern still remains. And of course, we are now facing the festive season, so we should be. In those comments and questions, PC, I will hand over to you for your responses. Thank you.
Once more, greetings to you, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members. Let Let me once again appreciate the opportunity you are giving to us to can come and present and also to inform the citizens of this province. How far did we go in terms of creating a safe and secure environment for them? Honorable Chairperson, the main priority of the JCPS, the Justice, Crime Prevention, Security Cluster, they've created this theme of saying their object is to ensure that the people of South Africa are and they feel safe. And we work towards that goal of creating that safe environment. However, this second part of feeling safe, it's a difficult one because it's subjective. It's about the person. How does the person feels at that point in time? It doesn't matter what we have done, but it is upon that particular person to say, yes, I feel safe or I don't feel safe. It goes to what you were saying to us right now to say the crime statistics versus what the people are saying on the ground. I fully understand that. And based on that, we don't take it for granted. We don't take it for granted whether we have done our part or we didn't do our part. When the citizens, they say, we don't feel safe, we don't take it for granted. It's them who doesn't feel safe. It's not for us to can argue with them. So we share your concern, Honorable Chairperson. I think moving forward, we must find a way, to can make ourselves present in such a way that an individual in his space, irrespective of whether you are in the suburb or in formal settlement or whatever, you can say, I feel safe because of the state is guaranteeing my safety. It's a long way. It is not something which we cannot overcome. We must work towards that, moving towards Vision 2030. As the province, I think something which Brigadier Chakalani also mixed up when she was talking about our overall contributions to the national figure of the crime stats. I think she spoke about 27.5, but I want to correct it that we have contributed 27.2%. And when you look at our 5-year trend, you will see, Chairperson, that we were hovering around that. We're hovering around that. It's only the last time whereby we went up to 27.7%. Gauteng, it will remain the biggest contributor of crime. And I fully understand the concern of everybody when they say crime is very high in Gauteng. When you compare to the numbers of other provinces and you compare to what you are generating in this province, it's high. 27.2%. And other provinces, they share the rest. It is high. But you also take into consideration, as Brigadier Chakalanshi was presenting, to look at the population ratio. What is in Gauteng? The dynamics of Gauteng comparing to other provinces, definitely the dynamics, they won't be the same. And that is why we are contributing the numbers which we are contributing. But again, we need to adapt to the dynamics. We are here in Gauteng, we are deployed in Gauteng, so we need to work to satisfy the needs and the aspiration of the people of Gauteng. And we will continue to do that. We'll continue to do that. When you see us without a weekend, when you see us in the street, whether the temperature is 38% or 40%, it's because of we understand the concerns of the people of this province. When you see the provincial commissioner and the generals on the street, it's because of we don't take for granted what the people of this province are saying. Their concerns, it's our concern. When they say they don't feel safe, we feel that we didn't do enough, and hence we are trying our level best that we make ourselves present to create that sense of safety. Coming to the question of Operation Chanela, Yes, Honorable Member Kanyile, it is true. When the police management look at what Gauteng was doing and what other provinces they were doing, they said, let's create a synergy. Let's have something which it must be implemented across the country. And then they took the blueprint of Operation Okai Malau. They said, no, let it happen countrywide so that we can reduce crime. One of the things which were of concern for us is that when we operate, because of we are actually we are just here in landlocked or whatever, or we are in the middle of South Africa. So it is easy for criminals to can move to the neighboring provinces and sit there and watch us while we are operating. And when we are done, they come back. So what we have done now that we are operating simultaneously nationwide, and all the activities which we were doing previously with Operation Okai Malau, we do it countrywide. The tracking and tracing of the known and wanted suspect, it continues across the country. So the criminals, they have no way to hide. They go to Northwest, they'll find the PC Northwest chasing them. Free State, the same. Limpopo, Polokwane, the same. When they come here, they'll find us. Boots on the ground, we are also chasing them. What you have done as a province, because of now everybody and other provinces, they are doing what we are doing, we have increased the tempo and the frequency of our operation. Because we know that with Operation Chanela, we do it simultaneously, all the districts in this province, all of us had at work, same time and whatever, so that criminals have nowhere to place. But we also look at other days, whereby we know that on these days we experience the high levels of crime and so forth. So we launch different types of operations just to increase the tempo and also not to create the vacuum. But what remains in this province and what remains in this country, without a doubt, without even to conduct a deeper analysis or a research, we generate a lot. The volumes of crime in this country, it's happening over the weekend. It's happening over the weekend, so no doubt about it. So if we want to reduce crime in this country, we must ensure that we are proactive, we are there. Our omnipresence to discourage the criminals from committing crime. And if we have discouraged 10 criminals not committing crime over the weekend, it's a success for us. If we have discouraged 100, it's also a success. So that's how we check the impact, that let's discourage them, let us be proactive, let us be there so that crime, it is not being committed. One weekend alone, if we can discourage criminals from committing crime. The issue of zamazamas. Firstly, we need to understand the enablers of the zamazamas from the time of the gold rush, when the gold was discovered in Gauteng and everybody comes. I think it was 1880, if my memory is not losing me. Those years when everybody comes in for the gold and whatever. People, they were employed, they were working in the mine and whatever. Along the way, when we continue, some of the people are being retrenched by these mining houses, and all what they know is mining. So for them to make money, what must they do? They must go and do mining, either with the consent or without the consent of the mine owners. Again, take into consideration some of the enablers of this illegal mining. Is this abandoned, derelict mines, holes, shafts, which were left unattended, which created an opportunity for those who were fired in this industry to can go and keep themselves busy. So as and when they continue with their mining, more and more people, they come and join them because their business or the industry is lucrative. When they continue and do that, contestation starts. There is groupings. People, they fight. When they fight, it becomes a problem. Others, they begin to hire their own securities to say, here it's our territory, we are going to mine here. Protect us. Heavy caliber firearms, they are having whatever to protect. They protect themselves against those who are opposing or maybe trying to encroach into their space and so forth. The mere carrying of those firearms openly, the mere shooting to scare whoever, it creates an anxiety and panic to the people, especially the neighboring communities and so forth. So again, Honorable Chairperson, are we winning in the fight against illegal mining? It's still a long way to go. It is still a long way to go because of what the police are doing is just a percentage. There is other role players who must also do the certain things to ensure that this illegal mining which is happening in our province, it is being discouraged. So that is why I've been preaching, I've been saying this thing that it needs an integrated and multidisciplinary approach so that each one of us, we do our bit to reduce the illegal mining which is happening here, including the communities themselves. Because all those Zamazamas, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, they are not staying in the field. They are staying in somebody else's house. He's renting in somebody else's shack. Who is giving this person a space to rent? Those are the people who are enabling illegal mining to continue. And we have been talking about this thing all over to discourage our citizens that, look, don't harbor criminals. Don't harbor people who are breaking the law. If the communities, they can work with us, surely we'll be in the way to reduce these issues of illegal mining. It's still a long, long way to go. All what we are doing, we do the disruption operation, we arrest them, we do what. DPCI is also focusing on those levels. Those who are managing these people, those who are receiving, we also deal with them. But we still have a long way to go. The issue of the stats and reality, I think I've covered it. Honorable Member Malobane, she spoke about the murder, which have increased by 2.9%. And Brigadier Chakalashi have tried to break it down. What are the causal factors of these murders in the province? When you look at 82 incidents, which result into 160, can remind me, 160, 191 bodies. And each and every body is having a case number. Even if it is one incident, for example, the taxi violence which happened yesterday in Didier, whereby it was one incident, it produced 5 bodies and 6 people that were injured. It means in one incident, we have 5 counts of murders and 6 counts of attempted murder in one incident. And that is a concern for us. We need to do our best to stop this thing. And how do we stop it? We must forever remove the instrument used, the instrument of choice, weapons of choice to commit this. And most of those weapons of choice are firearms, meaning that there's a lot of people who are in possession of firearms, either legally or illegally so. The utilization thereof, it is of concern for us. The way people who were shooting each other in the West End, the security companies hired by the taxi people, they were shooting each other with the licensed firearms which were issued to the security companies. So it's legal firearm used in a wrong way. We managed to arrest those people who removed the firearms. And you find people who are also in possession of illegal firearms, and they are using it obviously for wrong reasons. So again, we must remove those firearms so that we reduce the murders. The murders, honorable members, honorable chairperson, it will remain a concern. It will remain a concern for us. There's nothing to celebrate when a murder has happened, because I may sit in this podium and say we have reduced the murder rate in the province. But to those families who have lost their loved one, it means nothing to them. It means absolutely nothing to them. So a murder, it's our concern, it's all of us concern, and if it was within our reach, we'll ensure that there's no murder which is taking place in this province. The rape, again, Honorable Malubani spoke about, I know she's very much passionate in those issues of domestic violence, the rape and everything else. Same applies with murder. Same applies with murder, there is a reduction. But there's nothing to celebrate because there are victims already of rape. There's nothing to celebrate. We are grateful that we have reduced, but we can't celebrate because there are still people who are the victims of rape. If it is our call, it is our wish, we don't want anybody to be raped. One rape is just one rape too many for us. And we'll continue to work with everybody and all the stakeholders and everybody else who can assist us to discourage those who are raping, that they must refrain from those deeds. To also work with us so that we ensure that in this country we don't have women and children who are being raped. And it will remain, rape it will remain on our list of priorities where we need to direct our effort. And you saw right, Member Malubani, when you talk about the assault and the attempted murder. And I've said it before, that beating each other, I think, it's something which we enjoy most in Gauteng. I truly do not understand. Honorable Chairperson, if you can break down the number of the contact crimes, you break it down. You look, where do we derive our numbers? Our numbers are from assault common, assault GPH, and robbery aggravating. Those three. So robbery aggravating, yes, the police, let's deal with it. But assault common and assault GPH, it's in the hands of the citizen. It is in the hands of all of us. If we can stop beating each other up, surely we'll be able not to be contributing that 27.2% of the overall crime stats. It will be reduced automatically. Another day, Honorable Chairperson, if you can visit Alexander Police Station, you go there, you go to the cells, you find this individual. Why are you here? No, I'm arrested. For what? Assault. Okay, why did you beat other people? No, Father, I also want to open a case of assault against the person who have opened case against me. So it's a case against, counter case against each other, counter case against each other. So anyone who's been beaten also wants to open a case against another one. And we can't say, we can't say that. We open those cases and we look at the volumes are there. And those volumes of assault GPH are the result of what? Domestic violence. When Brigadier Chakalanshi was presenting, she looked at the assault GPH and so forth. Most of the DVs, where do they come from? Assault. If it is not that, during the assault, it's malicious damage because what do? You break the phone of your wife or your spouse and whatever, you break the windows, it becomes again malicious damage to property. And when you exceed the boundaries of assault again, it goes where? To attempted murder. So while the person now, it graduates, assault it graduates, and it can even end up being murder. Because the person who's been assaulted, he goes to hospital, stays there for a period. After some time, the person passed on. We changed the count now from assault GPH to murder. So if we continue to educate our people, surely we'll help each other to reduce crime in Gauteng. And there won't be any need for us to can declare anything because of it will be in our hands. Some of the things which are happening in this province, it's about the behavior of our people. So if it can be sorted out, it will assist all of us. The drug labs, Honorable Chairperson and members, I did speak about the drugs when I was giving my opening remark. Maybe you arrive when I'm already done. That during the period under review, we have managed to close 2 labs. In Santen, another one in Primrose. And we have intercepted the big precursor chemicals to can manufacture these drugs. and the street value, it worth 7.5 million. So if you were not there at the right time, surely it was going to be used and manufacture more drugs and more drugs in this community. But this is what we have achieved in the previous quarter. I think also in this quarter, when we come, we have managed to close more. And the one which we can talk about, which has just happened, I think last week, it happened at Kaya Sand in Douglasdale, whereby we found a huge consignment of the precursors of the drugs, chemicals, and then we also find some drugs in that particular space. And the use of the private security and the possession of their equipment and so forth. You're so right. As a country, we must not be complacent. We must also check who must possess what, at which level, and so forth. For example, you know, private people, they can't possess the automatic rifle. We must check. If people, they procure this thing, we need to be on top of that. The Inspector General of Intelligence must also look the types of equipment utilized by the private people, whether are they allowed to use it or not. We should not sit back and then just say people, they must just arm themselves. At the end of the day, it will be a danger. We'll find that private securities, they are having more arms and ammunition more than the state. So we need to manage that one. Abuse of emergency lights, yes, it remains a problem, and then we have said, I've issued the instruction to all the law enforcement agencies in this province, our police, our metros, Gauteng traffic, to can deal with these blue light robberies in our freeways, national, provincial roads. We have also directed them that they need to put the static roadblocks and somewhere else and deal with this thing. So we are attending on it. You are spot on, Member Maloba. And number of firearms recovered, as the member have asked the question. In my opening remarks, I've spoken about, we have arrested 1,129 persons whom we found them in possession of illegal firearms, and we have recovered 1,236 unlicensed firearms. We have also recovered 16,371 ammunition, and more is coming. In the next presentation, when we come again, you'll see that we have recovered more. I was so much excited yesterday when the station commander of Florida sent me a report of the number of firearms he recovered at that informal settlement called Jerusalem, and the ammunition, and that area is infested by Zamazamas. It was a lot. So we are hard at work to ensure that we remove these illegal firearms from the wrong hands. The issue of the Provincial Command Center, currently what we are using, we are having what we call it the POCC, Provincial Operational Command Center, as a step towards the integrated one. What we are waiting for, I think the department, they will be in the position to can explain where are they in terms of the procurement of the facility and so forth, and so that we can move everything and also include what is excluded from the integrated command center of the province. So I think the HOD will be in the position to can brief. I don't want to speak on their behalf. And the utilization of the CPW, as you are saying, Honorable Chairperson, you're spot on. I've even issued the instructions to say, when the Premier established this team, he have said the team is a force multiplier, and they are going to focus on the township, hostel, and township, informal settlement, and hostels. So we have seen that our police officers now, they enjoy this force multiplier, and they're forever now going on lunch and want these people to do their work, including this thing of certifying documents. And I told them, I've issued the instruction to say they must refrain from doing that, because for you to certify a document, you must be appointed as a commissioner of oath. You can't just do it. Otherwise, the people who are carrying these documents, which were certified by them, it means it has no value. But I've issued the instruction to can deal with those ones. And the cross-border taxi ranks, you saw right, Honorable Chairperson, it is in our plan. We call it the transport hub. Even this time of the year, we need to focus in those particular space and working together with the National Cross-Border Policing Unit so that we deal with those one to see what is taking out of our country to the neighboring countries, and also whether those who are involved in the cross-border operation, are they issued with the required papers and so forth? Their vehicles are also roadworthy and so forth. We are hard at work, Honorable Chairperson. What I can assure the citizens of this province, we are together. I feel them. We are together. That is why I have no weekend. That is why I walk the streets of this province, because I feel them. And I believe them when they say they don't feel safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, PC, for the responses. I think you covered all the concerns raised, and some of them are issues that should be included in the way forward in the program of action going into festive season. I think maybe I want to reiterate the issue about the emergency light, that we should also, as a legislature, as a committee, have an awareness campaign that we educate the public about the lights. But we still also have to indicate to people what do they have to do. Because if a person flashing blue lights, stopping you, do you stop, or what do you do? There's something that we need to do around that, and have maybe have a directive that we issue. But there should be some awareness, you know, so that we demonstrate and teach our citizens about the types of lights and that are there: white, blue, orange, red, and all those who are having permit to be able to use them, because it is a great concern, this matter of lights. And I think the one on the CPW, just to reiterate the point, is that we need to see them on the ground. We need to see them working with the police. It is an intervention that is developmental. It requires more work for them to improve on their functioning, to improve on their skills going forward. But we are just concerned about the standoff between the minister and the province on this matter. And we're hopeful that it will be actually resolved. But thank you so much, PC, on the matter and on your responses. We're going to take a short break before we continue with the meeting. A short break of around 15 minutes, and then we'll come back to deal with the issues relating to the presentation from our Metro Police departments on the same period of time. Thank you. Can you just take that break? Thank you. Can we start? Can we settle down? Thank you. We can come back now to resume the meeting. We are now at the point where we have to receive reports from the GMPDs or the MPDs in the province. We have made it our routine and our practice that when we receive the crime stats of the province, we also receive work done by our MPDs in a way that we know that the law enforcement of the enforcement of bylaws is an important aspect of fighting crime. I was told that the MMC of Johannesburg was also here. Maybe he went to do some crime fighting somewhere in Johannesburg, but we acknowledge that he made time to be part of our meeting. MMC Masuku from Ekurhuleni is also in attendance, and thanks for making time in attending this engagement. It's an important engagement where we'll have to reflect at the progress made on fighting crime in the province. So we'll start with the MPD that is fully represented with the MMC, which will be Ekurhuleni, and then we'll come to Tshwane, and then Johannesburg will be the last as the host. So Ekurhuleni, up to you. Next to you, you can. You know the focus areas that we need to deal with: crime prevention, bylaw enforcement, and traffic enforcement. Thank you.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, members of the Mayoral Committee, Provincial Commissioner, Chief of Police, let me just safely say all protocol observed. Honorable Chairperson, I will be, is it? Okay. Honorable Chairperson, I will just wait so that they flight the presentation. Humble apologies about that. Thank you, Chairperson. I will be presenting. Thank you, Chairperson. I'll be presenting the quarter one of 2023-2024, Chairperson. The EMPD function as a department, our primary task is traffic law enforcement by law and crime prevention, of which we contribute 70% in terms of traffic law enforcement and 15% in terms of crime prevention and 15% in terms of bylaws. We have with your permission, Chairperson, can I continue? Thank you, sir. We have, our Ekurhuleni is divided into 3 regions, which is the Eastern region, Southern region, and the Northern region. In all these regions, we have our precincts and specialized units. And the staff complement of the city, of the EMPD right now, it's 3,719. And we have our OPEX and APEX, which is OPEX over 3 million and CAPEX 28 million. The vehicle allocation, Chairperson, we have 1,355, of which in support services we have 307 and 1,048. That is allocated for traffic law enforcement, bylaw and crime prevention. Non-functional vehicles, Chairperson, at the moment, those that are at the external service providers, it's 109 and 66, and those that are in our internal workshops, 326, of which we have 492. The vision of the city, we contribute to a safer, smart, creative, and developmental city through innovative and effective policing. Our first quarter, Chairperson, this is the feedback in terms of the SDBIPs. Okay, I will continue. Thank you so much. This is the feedback in terms of the SDBIPs, whereby we have the number of criminals that were arrested when we have the target of 350, but we have managed to put our suspect behind bars, 1,257 suspects that has been arrested. And then in terms of the number of EMPD crime prevention plans executed, as I mentioned, this is in terms of the SDBIPs. We had a target of 20 and 46 we achieved. Number of joint crime prevention plans executed, we had a target of 20 and we have achieved 43. In terms of the number of crime prevention plans executed, we had a target of 15 and we had achieved 45. The number of social crime prevention awareness campaigns conducted, we had a target of 56 and we had achieved 139. In some of the instances, Chairperson, we have extremely achieved some of the targets, but as the Provincial Commissioner has mentioned, we cannot celebrate because this actually it's just a drop in the ocean, if I'm approaching it that way. Yes, we have achieved, but we still have challenges out there as the city. I will just jump the mission statement and go straight to the traffic law enforcement. The main law enforcement concentrate on the following, Chairperson: the driver fitness, vehicle fitness, regulation of traffic, overload control, and traffic accidents. The main pillars of the law enforcement, Chairperson, is education, of course. We had campaigns whereby our social crime unit will go out and educate our people in terms of the social ills and other operations that are conducted outside, just to educate our members of the public to be aware and to assist us in terms of reducing the fatalities and so forth. Engineering, of course, our road structures, we had challenges, Chairperson. If maybe I can even mention one there, by Reading Interchange, we have a space whereby truck drivers, they constantly, when they turn, the truck loses its load. We're not sure whether it's the infrastructure or what is it, but it is an ongoing thing in our city. Law enforcement, obviously, prosecution and evaluation. The factors that contribute in accidents, Chairperson: weather conditions, of course, road conditions and designs, as I've mentioned, driver vehicle fitness, speeding. I think that one, Chairperson, is one of the most contributing factors. And driving under the influence of narcotics or alcohol, and pedestrians, especially on our freeways. I will jump the operational concepts and just go straight to the traffic law enforcement operations. In future, Chairperson, I think I must mention, we will have, like we had in our STPIPs, whereby we have the previous successes vis-à-vis the current quota that we are presenting. In terms of drunken driving, arrests in July, we had 174. August, we have 138. And then September, we had 97, which is a total of 409. And then the reckon neck, actually, before I can even continue on the reckon neck, Chairperson, I think I must mention that in the province, we have the challenge of the blood kit, which is the main challenge for us to execute this type of operations in our province, most especially in our city, the city of Ekurhuleni. And then the reckon neck, we arrested 36 in July, 56 in August, and 34 in September, which is the total of 192. With regards to by law enforcement, I will just jump in also. Shoot straight to the by law enforcement operations, the feedback. We had the dumping. In July, we managed to do 9 operations, and then 16 in August and 15 in October, which is a total of 14. The hawkers removed as it is on our slides. And then the main challenge, Chairperson, it's the homeless. We constantly receive complaints of homeless because we don't have shelters in our city or the place of safety whereby you can remove a homeless person from one space and then you get another complaint when you move to that place, you find that it's the very same homeless person that we have moved on the previous space. So it is a serious concern, Chairperson, because as we remove them, but we don't have a space or a safe space where we can take these homeless people to. The illegal structures removed, we had 147 in July, 140 in August, and 117 in September. Noise complaints attended, 3 in July, 8 in August, 10 in September. And then the other mechanics and spray painting illegal adverts, we removed 799 in July and 253 in August and 509, which makes a total of 1561. Then we move to crime prevention. Crime prevention operations resolve around the planned operations at identified hotspots. We conduct the walkabouts in informal settlements whereby officers will park their vehicles and walk around the informal settlements. Sometimes we even find the complaints of social ills other than crime that is committed in that particular space, which includes the murder, house robberies, hijackings, armed robberies, assaults, GBH, drugs, as the PC has mentioned again on this one, drug, rape, domestic violence, gender-based violence, and crime against women and children. The crime generators, Chairperson, socio-economic factors, of cost havens, crimes of opportunity, the attitude of the community towards crime, fraud, corruption, public drinking, and abandoned buildings, they contribute, Chairperson, to the crime. And we can pass and just go straight to the number of criminals arrested with regards to crime prevention. In July, we had 18. In August, we had 16. September, we had 9, which is the total of 43. These arrests, Chairperson, they exclude the drug arrest that we have effected in the EMPD. And then with regards to drugs, Chairperson, in July we had 83, August we had 52, September we had 57, and then which is a total of 192. And most of these drugs, Chairperson, I must mention, they are happening in Ectonville, Brakpan, Kempton Park, Tembisa, and KwaZaduza, KwaThema, Tsakane, and Duduza. The crime prevention operations, With regards to recoveries, stolen motor vehicles, 21 in July, 23 in August, and then in September, we had 32, which is a total of 76. In some instances, Chairperson, you'll find that the suspect is still in the vehicle, but in some of the instances, you find that it's just an abandoned vehicle which was reported stolen or hijacked. The firearms that we have managed to recover in this quarter, Chairperson, in July we had 11, August 15, September, and 5, which makes a total of 31. Again, we cannot celebrate this one as, maybe today some of the firearms are being recovered as I'm in this podium. The integrity management. The number of complaints that we have received, Chairperson, some complaints of the conduct of our officers when executing their duties, the parking, and so forth. We had 69 recorded complaints in the department, obviously by our internal affairs unit. And then the number of complaints closed to lack of evidence whereby the complainant maybe refused to give in statements, we have 17. The number of disciplinary cases finalized, we had 4 for the previous quarter. And then the number of cases pending, 11. The number of cases investigated and referred to disciplinary hearing, this one's, it's one informal incident. This one, it is addressed by a supervisor in that specific unit. The members on suspension, the civic claim, members on suspension on quarter 1, Chairperson, we had 0. And then the civil claims processed, and this one, the most contributing one, it's the shooting incident, Chairperson, the accidents, of course, whereby a motor vehicle, the municipal vehicle is involved with the private vehicle, so, or the private person. So it was 13 in this in quarter 1, and then the members dismissed. We had 1, and specifically this member was dismissed as a result of misconduct. Obviously, those are risk, Chairperson. I think we have been singing this song, for several times. Insufficient fleets, it is still a challenge, Chairperson, even in this quarter. The mode of transport, soft and hard armored vehicles, it is also a challenge. The lack of storage facilities. In this one, for instance, like our bylaw unit, we don't have a space whereby we can actually keep the goods of the members of the public if they have confiscated them. It is still a challenge. The lack of bulletproof, it is also still a challenge in the EMPD. Lack of training, we haven't received training for over 4 years, I think. The basic training for crowd management, it is a challenge, Chairperson, as well as the crowd management gear. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Can we get Tswane? We'll take all of them, then we'll ask questions at the end. Is Johannesburg here? Oh, okay.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, members of the legislature, the PC and Deputy PC, the generals, and everybody as protocol observed. In Tshwane, we have 7 regions, and we have 3 divisions. So we have regional policing, we have specialized policing, and we have support and admin. So our staff complement is 4,043. Then we have 203 support people. In terms of vehicles, we have 23 that are leased, 629 vehicles. However, we have 336 that are operational and 313 that are not operational. But I must also say this, Chairperson, that even from the number of vehicles that are shown as operational, this includes trailers, motorbikes, trucks, and breakdowns. So at the end of the day, on any specific day, you'll have between 150 and 200 vehicles, which is very little for Tshwane, with all the 7 regions. And you also have the specialized units separate from the regions. So the number of vehicles is a challenge for us as Tshwane. You have a situation where vehicles are taken in for repairs, and you have 6 months, a year, 2 years, you don't get the vehicles back. Some are going in just for a disc, for a tire, or small repairs, and they never come back. So some of the vehicles are as old as 2002, when we formed the Metropolis. So they are not fit for operational duties. So we have a triple mandate, like any other metropolis. We do bylaws, road policing, and crime prevention. So we have targets per quarter. So regional policing, our target for this quarter 1 was 75, and we were only able to do 55. And the reason for this, and it will be almost the same as I go forward, we had a strike in Tshwane from July. And each and every day, all our vehicles were patrolling waste management trucks. We were escorting technicians, plumbers, to go and fix, because the employees were threatened when they go and repair and do repairs. It has been ongoing since July. So those are the reasons why some of our targets were not met. If you look at specialized policing operations, we achieved the target. The target was 51, and we were able to do 51 and 81. So reaction to violent protection, which we call drug unit, which is helping us a lot with drug-related issues. The number of cable theft as part of the infrastructure team, we have also established a cable theft unit within the city, which deals with cable theft. The number of bylaw OTRs, this is a notice to rectify. We issue those before we start issuing fines or confiscation, and we tell people, listen, you are not allowed to trade here, so please, in a certain number of days, you need to leave. A number of confiscations. So we confiscate goods where we have notified people not to be there. As soon as we issue fine, then we confiscate them. But we have the same challenge with Ekurhuleni in terms of storage. All our regions don't have enough storage to keep the goods. But we have a lot of complaints about informal traders on a daily basis. The number of land invasion patrols is 8,468. The demolished structures, as we mentioned before. We also attend CPF meetings, 35 of them. Number of integrated operations, including Chanela. I'm glad the PC did not give us a lashing today. But obviously, we were affected by the strike, PC. But now that the strike is over, hopefully things will improve. We have actually started joining General Mawela. I'm sure you can attest to that one. We also have joint operations. We had 3 meetings with IPID just to make sure that we are in line with the requirements of the IPID Act. So the anti-corruption strategy, number of complaints received 46, number of complaints closed due to lack of evidence. People complain and they don't want to give evidence. They don't want to give statements. The number of disciplinary cases finalized is 72. Some were closed due to lack of evidence. Cases pending 46. We were expecting that most of the cases by August would have been finalized. But the strike took its toll on the cases because people could not come and give evidence. The shift for the municipality shifted from this to the strike. You would have seen in the media that a certain number of people were dismissed because now the focus was now on the strike. So the number of cases investigated and referred for disciplinary hearing, we have a number of people on suspension. We have civil claims, obviously from people claiming against the city. We have an internal affairs section, which is responsible for disciplinary matters. We also have an integrity unit. What they do is that they would go around to make sure that we have discipline and our members are supposed to be where they are. They would go on the road and check them if they are properly dressed, if they are where they're supposed to be, if they have the necessary pocketbooks and the appointment certificate. So one of the things which was obviously might not have been received well by some of our members was that we requested the members of the public to ask for their appointment certificates and even record the people asking for bribes. So in a way that has helped us a lot. In the past few months, we've seen a drop in the number of cases that were reported. So the challenges will still be the same. The vehicles, I think the city needs to prioritize security than I won't say than service delivery, but in Tshwane, most of the vehicles are given to departments like electricity. If you look at the number of vehicles that JMPD has, you compare it to Tshwane, what we have to them can only be one region. So we have really a lack of resources in Tshwane. Like I said earlier on, vehicles goes in for service and you just have to forget whether you'll get the vehicles or not. At the moment, there's a trickle of vehicles coming back and hopefully the situation will improve. So we have also an interdependence because the issue of disciplinary cases or a hearing of disciplinary cases, that delegation is not with the chief of police, but with group human capital. So even if we want to charge someone and we want to dismiss them, we cannot because we have to refer the case to group human capital. So it's a big challenge. That's why discipline has gone out of the window. So we also have challenges with technology, the radios, but what we've done now in preparation for the budget for 24-25, we've included things like radios, the handheld pocket device, because our members deliberately make those fines you have to cancel. There's nothing much you can do. So the handheld device is the way to go because once you include the registration number, it populates the owner, it gives the amount of the charge that is being issued. Chairperson, thank you so much.
Thank you. Johannesburg.
Thank you, Chairperson, Honorable Chairperson, and honorable members of the committee, the PC, the DPCs here, the generals, chiefs, Tshwane and Chief of Ekurhuleni, colleagues that are here. Good afternoon. I'm just going to start with the things that are not in the presentation. Firstly, is that as JMPD, we have 7 regions, but in terms of policing, there is 8, where the region F, which is the CBD, is divided into 2, F1 and F2. The southern part of Johannesburg, it's F2. The inner city, it's F1. And then the total staff strength for JMPD, it's 4,074. Those are the active members in terms of policing on the ground or of boots on the ground. And then we are having 890 vehicles. And we are having 4 directorates. One, it's regional operations. The second one, it's tactical, which is part of the specialized unit. And then we have the BMU and our fine administration. Those are the units we are having. And when we come to disciplinary action, Chairperson, there were about 12 corruption cases that were opened. 8 members were dismissed on that. Coming to the presentation, Chairperson, I'm not going to read the purpose of the presentation, but the key focus areas on outcome, that's what I'm going to bring. The strategic objectives, they are there all the time when presentation is made. Firstly is that the strengthening of bylaw enforcement for well-regulated and functional city. In this one, Chairperson, that's where we emphasize on ensuring that the bylaws
are enforced in the city. Because if we don't do that, that also is the cause of crime, especially, I would say, in most cases in the CBD. When it's overcrowded, when there is no regulation around what is happening in the CBD, the bylaws, illegal, littering and so on, that causes crime as well. So if the environment is not clean, it also causes crime. Criminals hide behind such things to ensure that we do that. So what we do, we ensure that people also, we use also the issues of interaction with our communities to ensure that they understand the bylaws. And then we also make sure that we, at the same time, enforce what we do. And then I'll come to the stats as we go down. And then also to ensure the safe transport and mobility through traffic management, enforcement and education. This came out as well in the presentation where the PC was also answering it because it is a problem. Joburg is a center of everybody. It's like a New York where everybody comes to Joburg. Where he or she comes from, first place is Joburg, then you can go to other areas. In as much as they have to leave, Joburg is the place. All the vehicles of cross-border and so on, they come from Joburg, facing north, south, east, and west. So that is the problem that we are having. And then the other one is crime reduction, which is a critical aspect in the communities of Joburg. So I'll go down to the stats. These are the key performance indicators. Number of bylaw operations conducted in the city for this quarter, it's 1,000. The baseline, it's 1,708, and then the target, 1,777, and then the target, it's 1,820. Quarter one, we had 450, and actually it's 518. So we are still much behind to go to our baseline or the target. And then coming to operations, joint operations, we ensure that in all the joint operation, 100% we do that, but we have done almost 10 operations that are coordinated. Some, it's group forensic investigations, but some in the regions with our partners, your SEPs, Gauteng, and so on. But in most cases, it's with SEPs through the police stations and the operations that we are having, Shanela and other operations. We have also the issue of infrastructure, where we had 20, the baseline is 20, the target is 12, and for quarter one, we did 3, and then actual is 24. Sorry? No. Okay. All right. Number of traffic-related enforcement operation. This one also goes far to the targets and so on. But on this quarter, we had 2,200, and then the actual is 2,298. It's not the same. Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, thank you. These are the bylaws enforcement outcome or the results or successes. We start with the perishable goods. It's your tomatoes and so on that we impound daily on the CBD. The number there, we have it 1,861. Non-perishable, the clothes, 1,771. Posters removed is the number there. Illegal water connections that are dealt with through joint operations between the city entity, Johannesburg Water and JMPD. It's 41 operations where 622 cutoffs were made. Illegal electricity also, it goes there where joint operations are done. Also SEPs is there as well when we deal with this. We had 321 operations, 342 cutoffs, and 264 houses are still under investigation on these issues, because in other places you find the owner and so on, so it needs more investigation. We go also to traffic enforcement or results. That are the numbers. The numbers are too high, but crime is very high, so I'm very ashamed to talk about that one. General, you can hang me. We can't, but that is the number we are having. And then the people searched and so on. The citations are there. The vehicles that we have continued is 491, taxis 58, impounded is 45. Transport, vehicle scholar transport, it's 11. And then buses and discontinued is 3, impounded is 31. Enforcement of bus lane, that is the number that we are having there, because the buses drive on daily basis in the regions of the city of Joburg. So we are having the rear via unit, which is dealing with that, plus the regional units that are doing that. Then we have other impoundments of vehicles where illegal parkings and so on in the CBD or in the areas. We've got 619. Next slide, please. Arrest from July to September. Assault common, we had 16 arrests. Assault GBH is 12. Bribery of an officer is 6. Burglary business, it's 1. Cable theft is 2. Crime and injury, I don't know how do they put this one, but they say 9. Capable homicide, it's 1. Also defeating the ends of justice, it's 3. Driving under the influence, it's 1121. In Joburg, in fact, the issue of alcohol, driving under the influence, is very serious. This is just a number, but if you look at what's happening every day, from Friday, from Thursday, it is a problem. You might have more than that. Hijackings or robberies, robbery of vehicles is 21. Illegal immigrants, we're having 88. Impersonating an officer is 1. Rack and neck is 29. Interfering with an officer in execution of his duties is 11. Intimidation 1. Liquor-related matters is 2. Malicious damage to property, it's 17. Murder, it's 7. Attempted murder is 2. Arrest as well, they still continue. Possession of vehicle theft device, 2 people were arrested, or we have 2 arrests. Possession of dealing in cannabis, it's 5. Possession of drugs is 35. Possession of dangerous weapon, it's 11. Firearms recovery is 20. Unlicensed firearm arrest, I don't know how do they characterize this one, it's 56. And then we have 20 for fraud. Possession of medicine that it's not registered, 1. Possession of stolen goods is 66. Possession of stolen motor vehicles is 30. Resisting arrest is 6. Common robbery is 23. These are the arrests that we are having July to September 2023, 1,722 in total. Can you move to the next slide? Service standards for JMPD, bylaws, 100% response to infringements within 24 hours. This is the target that we are given, how, when, and what time, or the time given to respond to any complaints that we receive from our community members. Within 24 hours, it must be dealt with. Accident reports as well within 48 hours, because an officer is given time whenever after the accident, before that person goes off duty, he or she must submit the accident form in our accident office. Traffic control. On this one as well, we have to respond to all the calls of traffic control. Remember, we are having our newly, inventive people who are doing traffic points. Our street guys are doing traffic point in the absence of officers, and this is embarrassing us as the city. The land invasion as well, it is a problem in the city of Joburg. The south, where Region G is, It is a serious problem, but we have concentrated our resource in that area. Now is on the north now, your Ivory Park and so on, Region A on daily basis. We are responding to land invasions, especially also at Rabi Ridge. In front of the police station, the people go and occupy land there. So we usually deploy in those areas. Region F1, which is the CBD, is the issue of building invasions or abandoned buildings and so on. Those are the issues we are facing as a city. Service delivery issues that we have, or the protests that we have done as it is given by regions. Region D, which is the highest with 6, and then we have Region G with 4. Region C, you have 3, and then the others is 1, except Region F2, the southern part of Joburg. Mostly there is no protest in that area. It's only the areas Region D and G where we are having a serious problem of protests. In the department, we are having a daily action plan that we submit that tells us what time, what's happening in this time, whatever. But every morning from 6 and 9, we are on traffic points or school points and so on. After that, we are having operations that we deal with to enhance visibility, to ensure police visibility in all the areas, in all the regions of the city. So that is the program that I'm not going to read one by one, but what is important there on the stakeholders, JMPD, CRAM, and EMS, those are the city entities and other departments. When we do operations, we go on an integrated approach as per the Safer City documents or the GDS, because that needs us to work in an integrated fashion. For example, I'll give this example, Chairperson. When we go to do operations in the liquor outlets, your taverns, your restaurant, and so on, people from EMS and environmental health, plus our colleagues from SEPS, when they go in there, they'll do their compliance check. But what most people don't do is the issue of EMS and environmental health. So those people, they check, and if the place does not comply, usually it was closed and then we go out. As you turn around the corner, the person is running again. So what we have done is that once that happens, what happens in that, Chairperson, thank you. What happens now that we remove the license, and we also inform the liquor board that we have removed Jaca's license because of 1, 2, 3, 4. If Jaca complies with those non-compliance that were identified by the inspectors or the EMS guys, then the person will receive his or her permit. Because that is the only way. We can't be going on like chickens. You go here, you close, 2 minutes it's open. The same thing happens until we have also the issues of that building that we had at Delvas where people died. So we are trying also to avoid that. Thank you, the next. So that is the daily program, Chairperson and the honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentations from our MPDs. I'm going to allow members of the committee to make comments and questions, and thereafter we'll allow the team from the MPDs to respond, and we proceed with the meeting. So, Member Kanyile, you'll start.
Chair, may I just ask maybe to all the teams or the MPDs, the presentations that they've made to us today, are these presentations made to, I think they call them Section 79 committees or councils? That's the first question. Related to that, if the answer is yes, what, from their own assessment, are these structures able to make interventions particularly where they make recommendations and where they identify problems, is either the Section 79 or council able to make interventions and assist them to deal with those matters? Secondly, it's the same question, but as it relates to Gauteng Department of Community Safety. So the question is, are these presentations made to the Gauteng Department of Community Safety on a quarterly basis? And if so, what is the sense of the interventions or support that is given by that department? And lastly, to Johannesburg, if you could just, I saw you use an acronym CRUM, if you can just indicate what it means. Thank you very much.
Member Malobane.
No, thanks, Chair. Maybe my question is almost similar to Member Kanyile's question. The issue of oversight, independent oversight committee, in terms of the regulations or the law, we need to have an independent oversight committee. So may I check if are they functional in provincial, in local government structures? And it will be interesting to get a list of participants in those independent ones. And remember that those Section 71 committees, but there's also the ones that are completely independent, where civil society is actually participating. So do we have that? The other issue, Chair, is the issue of the integrity. How different is the integrity unit from the inspectorate? Is it the same thing? Or, you know, and also linked to the accident. Sometimes they're actually linked to accident unit. So, Jack, I want to check if this integrity unit that you have now is the same unit that used to be headed by Abonkosi. Yeah. So I wanted to check that. I'm actually encouraged that at least on a quarterly basis, there is monitoring, and the numbers of Johannesburg are higher than the other two metros. That there is a target, but I need to understand the issue of the baseline and is it baseline and actual? What's the difference there? And on the baseline, obviously, on a quarterly basis, you need to then deliver at least 25% of your baseline or of your actual. But if you look at the Johannesburg one, I think the numbers are encouraging. On a quarterly basis, at least we're getting a good number of results. I'm a little bit discouraged with EMPD and TMPD. The numbers are very low. In terms of the arrests, I think it will be interesting to see how do we incorporate the arrests that are made by MPDs to the ones that the SAPS report about, because those arrests are very important, and they are the arrests that at the end of the financial year, we will actually know whether, in terms of the outcomes in fighting crimes, because Agneti to report about the crimes committed, but we don't report about the people who are the perpetrators that are being arrested. The other issue that I want to raise, Chair, is the bylaw enforcement. To all metropolis departments, I see when you visit our CBDs, irrespective of which area, particularly the old towns, you go to Benoni, to Boksburg, you go to Johannesburg, Small Street and others, closer to Bree, MTN, Rank, etc. The 1 meter in our pathways is not being respected. I say part of the bylaws because I thought, you know, the reason why people end up walking in the streets is actually because of our crowded pathways and because the 1 meter is not respected. And if you interact with the pedestrians, they will tell you that the reason why we're walking on the streets is not because because of space, but was scared to walk there because it's crowded and basbambi nkunzi, you know. So I want to check if the bylaws no longer allow people to close the whole pathway. Bangasanikeza ama pedestrians a 1 meter for them to walk freely on those pathways. The issue for hawkers that get removed from time to time, we do have markets in our maybe I'm talking because of I'm talking about Johannesburg here, but I'm not sure of the other 3 metros. If you go to Eastern Cape, Chair, particularly in East London and Port Elizabeth, the respect for markets, or even Cape Town, it's high because people are forced to trade in markets as opposed to normal Gugupi. But you go to Hillbrow where there are markets, you go to Bree where there are markets, you still have a lot of people trading in closer to robots, etc., etc. So can I then find out, Jack, in terms of your bylaw enforcement unit, why are we ignoring those hawkers that still trade, despite that there are people who are confined or people that are supposed to be confined to markets? Otherwise, I'm happy with the presentation of the 3 metros, and we hope that at least there should be some form of a stricter way of working together in order to fight crime. Thanks, Chair.
Are you covered? Okay. No, thanks so much for the comments and questions. Okay. Now
You know, there's this important one. If I travel in a kumbi, maybe I hire with my family, I enter Egurulena or I enter Soweto, I get stopped and I'm forced to pay 300 rand to our squads. Is it legal? Because it seems there is no enforcement from Metro Police departments. Even police complain. Serious, I went to police station twice. You know, where you say, hey, now I want to tell 300 rand because bati indlela ya batumzila way too. So where does this thing come from? And I think if it's illegal, can I request that Metro Police chiefs together now Mawela thumela abantu bakho bake bayo engage abantu bama taxi bayekela ukusitsotsa, because that is criminality. Thanks.
Thank you. I think there's the questions that have been raised. Some of them are quite important to respond to. But I just want to raise one area of underperformance from Tshwane. I think the whole issue of the strike may be really impacted on you negatively. But I get a sense that everything is stable now, and we are going to see some improvement in terms of performance in many areas. Tshwane is an important city, not that the others are not, but the capital city is, the seat of government is there, is located in Tshwane, so it's an important area that we need to engage in terms of performance. One I want to really raise for me, which I raised before PC, is the issue of coordination. You know, if we are not going to do enough in coordinating and integrating our law enforcement, it's going to be a big problem. And even designate roles properly so that we don't have some roles that are overlapping over the other. You know, we need to be clear what CPFs or patrollers do. We need to be clear what CPW's crime prevention wardens do. We need to be clear what neighborhood watches that are there, that are recognized, are actually doing, so that we know who does what and what role are they playing, You know, what are the roles of the MPDs in a way? I saw Johannesburg, they've launched a unit recently with high powerful cars and so on. I'm not sure whether they do have the authority and the designated mandate to do that, but if we don't integrate and work in silos, we won't be able to even pull in the resources that are there, available resources that are there to fight crime. You know, so I think my major issue here is the issue that seemingly we are failing on coordination. And my marker to look at that is a failure to have this integrated provincial command center. Because if we do have it, it will make it easier, you know, for the fight to be effective and to be coordinated. You know, we see that the issue of vehicles is a big problem. And if we are not sharing resources, it means it will continue throughout the whole, because the police stations also complain about the same thing. The MPDs complain about the same thing. You know, so we need to find a way to coordinate this, you know. We spoke about the CCTV, access to CCTV, the cameras across the province. If they are not utilized effectively in terms of coordination, we're still going to have, you know, a big problem. So for me, that is the major aspect that we need to focus on. And I think the last part was just on the traffic management, which is something that we need to also increase our focus on through the MPDs. December, we see a lot of road fatalities, festive season, and all of them are related anyway to alcohol usage and utilization. So this conversation should actually happen sooner, with the liquor board. We are not saying people must close down their businesses, but this actually is causing us harm as citizens and as a country. So I'll allow, maybe as in the order of how MPDs have presented responses, and then we'll move with the item. Thank you. We'll start in that order.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, honorable members, the PC, Deputy PC, and the generals, colleagues, all protocol observed. With regard to the Section 79 committees, we do have an oversight committee in Ekurhuleni. And what we present here, it's not something that is new, but it's what we also present to the Section 79 committee. And the question will be asked, are they helpful? At this moment, it's not, because we don't see any movement. They commit themselves. The only way that they commit themselves is to making sure that whatever that we are saying, for instance, like about a week ago, they went to our mechanical workshop and they found it in a very poor condition, where cars are just lying, there's no order there. Then they satisfy themselves with the information that we gave. Do we present this to the Gauteng Community Safety Portfolio Committee of Ms. Mazibuko? Yes, we do. And we go a step further to say, this committee is oversighting us. You are saying we are not doing enough as a metro in terms of the road fatalities, bylaw enforcement, crime prevention. So we ask, give us resources. You've got a very big cake, but you are not taking care of us as your children. So that is where it is at. We even go as further as going to RTMC, where we request resources. When RTMC was started, during this season, which is the festive season, they used to give us vehicles, and they used to hire vehicles from Avis in order to promote visibility on the road. The only difference that what used to happen is they would would just put decals on those vehicles from Avis, that this is Metro Police vehicle during the Easter period as well as the festive season. But things have changed now. It's not the same. So that is where we find ourselves in now. Independent oversight, yes, we do have a civilian oversight within EMPD, but it's not functional at the moment. The only internal person speaking under correction, it's a councillor and somebody from the office of the city manager. And the chairperson of the civilian committee is a civilian. It's a person that is from outside. And the civilian oversight reports to the city manager. They haven't had any meetings because what happened, one of the person that was in that civilian oversight committee passed away. The arrests, SAPS versus MPDs, the stats that we projected there, for each and every arrest that an officer makes, it is not I was assisting to make the arrest. It's a person that makes the arrest, that makes the arresting statement. He is the one that is the arresting officer, and that and it's got case number. So you'll never come to us and say you've made an arrest and there's no case number. So that is how we operate. Bylaw enforcement, we find informal traders trading within 5 meters of an intersection, causing obstruction, danger to traffic. We remove them. From the sidewalk, as you have seen, the structures, because some of them have got structures on the sidewalk, they get removed. But where the sidewalk is wide enough, we've got what we call a local economic development department. They will come and allocate spaces to the hawkers, because we work in conjunction with them. The city wants the local community to be promoted, hence we work with them. And also when it comes to the issuing of licenses, they apply to the local economic development. But before the license can be approved, it will go to the different departments, and us as the Metro Police, we are also involved, where we will say, but this space is already saturated. Please go look for another space, and we'll also look at people that are from Ekurhuleni, because you do find people that come from outside Ekurhuleni. We don't have a flea market in Ekurhuleni. I don't know of any. The only flea market where you can have people that can exhibit their goods, it's the one at the Eastern Mall, which is on a daily basis, and you find, but there are no, it's not for informal traders. It is high-ended goods that are being sold there. So it is not like where you get your ikabishi, ama carrots. We don't have such a place. Taxi squads. We did have such instances in the area of Ekurhuleni, and the one that I can recall, which was very problematic, was on the Old Vereeniging Road, and it used to happen during peak hour, where even the private vehicles, when they pick up a person on the road, the taxi association would come, impound, and demand money. We addressed it with the assistance of the taxi task team, which is run at the provincial level. We do have a taxi task team, which is coordinated at the provincial level. We're reporting to a kennel there. I've just forgotten the name of the kennel. That is where we're reporting. So we were able to cap that. And it was also prevalent in the area of Tembisa from the Olifantsfontein Road, people coming from Oakmore, from both sides of the station, from the eastern side as well as from the western side of the station. We did experience that, but at this moment, we have not receiving any complaints. Complaints have subsided with regards to that. I think I will go as far as that with regards to the question that we asked. Thank you.
Thank you. Tswane.
Honorable Chair, thank you. We've got two Section 79 committees, Chairperson. You've got the civilian oversight and you've got the community safety one. So The community safety one is mostly councillors from the different political parties. And the civilian one is mostly civilians, even though it's chaired by a councillor. So whether they make an impact or not, no. For the past 5 years, we've been complaining about the same thing. The end of the term, there's a new one coming in and say, I will get you all this and this and this. Nothing happens. The integrity unit, Honorable Malobane, yes, it's more like the inspectorate. They go and inspect our members on the road to make sure that our members are up to scratch and where they are supposed to be. They don't have long hair and long nails and tattoos. The PC once issued a notice about tattoos, so.
Why not test
The number of
why not test
So the number of the low targets, Honorable Malobane, yes, and the chairperson did mention that the strike did have an impact on us, but I can assure you now that things have stabilized. In our next presentation, the result will be different. Arrest by MPDs, like Deputy Chief Mzola said, we always have a case number, but obviously we don't have cells. And when we make an arrest, we hand them over to SAPS. So when SAPS give the number of arrests, they include us. So we do have the records, but the arrests we hand over to the police stations. The 1 meter issue, it should still be observed, Honorable. One of the challenges is LED in both places. You know, they issue licenses, they allocate stands. In the past, they did create sort of a market somewhere in Stanzabo Pape, Sisulu, and Lilian Ngoi, next to the Reserve Bank. So it's a passageway where only traders were allowed to trade. But I can say at the moment, things are not looking good. One of the main reasons is lack of storage. Like we said, you know, when you confiscate these goods, you need to go and store them somewhere. But we don't have those facilities. The issue of the 300 rand to be paid to its criminality, Honorable. There's nothing like that. Nobody is allowed to stop a vehicle other than a police officer, a metro police, or a traffic officer. So taxis are not allowed to stop any vehicle, regardless of their taxi squad. They can stop their own taxis and talk about their business, but no one can stop a vehicle on a public road other than law enforcement agencies. Thank you.
Respect.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, we do have a Section 79 Oversight Committee in the city of Joburg. Recently, a new chairperson has been appointed to head that committee. Even today, when the acting chief is not here and his directors, they are sitting in that meeting. And then we do also do a presentation to the MEC's Department of Community Safety. And then the issue of bylaw enforcement, this one needs, it must be strengthened. That's all, Member Lubani, because here it's only lawlessness that prevails in terms of the informal traders. Firstly is that we are having foreign nationals that are crowded in the city of Joburg, and all of them, I would say, they sell because of whatever they have to pay your rent and so on, but that creates problems for us. We do have markets, the markets are there, but the very same people in the markets, they sell outside because of lack of bylaw enforcement. So we need to strengthen our BMU unit to deal with the issues. And also this thing of specialization also creates a problem in the Metro Police officers. Because once an officer is driving, he's from BMU, Bylaw Enforcement Management of unit, there's an accident there, there's tendency that they pass this accident to say, no, I'm from BMU. And that is the problem. It's what, as commanders, we need to ensure that our members, they become a one-stop shop. Because once you tell them to say, you're wearing a uniform, you carry a firearm, you go into a shopping center, there's a robbery there. Criminals are not going to say you are from BMU or wherever. We are wearing a uniform, we are a threat to them, they'll shoot at you. So it's what we need to tell our members. So our commanders as well, we need to do that to ensure that all the members do bylaws, traffic policing, and crime prevention, because once we start to compartmentalize it, it's going to be the problem for us. The issue of 300 by taxi, as the acting chief said, that is criminality that we have to deal with. And we'll also task our guys, because that's what is happening along also on Deckers as well, where you'll find this taxi squad stopping, Kumbis, whatever, they demand money. And the issue of the 5 meters from an intersection or the sidewalk, it is also the issue of lack of comprehensive bylaw enforcement. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any comment, PC, from your side? Yeah, fine. Okay. I think, thank you for the presentations. It has become our practice that we'll continue engaging to look at the performance, and now as we are getting used to it in terms of the reporting, we are going to now be quite skeptical or even more focused on the issues relating to actual performance. But thank you so much for your presentations, and hopefully we'll meet again in the operations now. I think most of our meetings are coming to an end. We will be meeting more on the streets and on the road in making sure that our streets and our province is safe. So thank you so much. I'm sure there are no resolutions to look at and NCOP matters. Any indication, Tabs? It's fine. Yeah. Okay. So can I then take the opportunity to thank everyone who's here? Okay, raise it.
Although I'm advised by my colleague that maybe this issue must be raised when we make we do our report as a committee. On all the presentation made, PC, there's no sign of coordination, to be honest. There's lack of coordination. The only time there is coordination is when there is joint operations, particularly go Okayumulao. But you are working in silos. And if you look at the founding documents of Metro Police departments, was to be a multiplier, force multiplier in fighting crime. But there is no synergy in terms of really, there's nothing that says we're working together. I also didn't hear the PC says on a quarterly basis, on a monthly basis, our meetings with the metros, this is what we've agreed, and this is how we actually. So we might be raising it on our own as part of responding to the reports that we've received. But I think it is important to make that comment that, I mean, Metro Police departments were established from 2001, abanye 2002 and 2000, and it seems there is no improvement in terms of coming together, and I think it's a serious concern from our side. And if we are really serious about fighting crime in this province, we should be seeing some form of really working. Or we are waiting for the single command. Maybe when we have the single command, it is only then that there will be some form of working relationship. You used to have, I'm not sure whether chair is still happening, the G-Leaf. Again, there's no referral. Everyone, when you present angati undlovu, omunye usbego, omunye ukhanyile, you know, and it's a problem. We want to hear some form of there should be some attempt of hlanganising Khanyile, Ndlovu and Sbego together, because that was the purpose of establishing Metro Police Department. We didn't establish our Metro Police Department for them to run as independent structures. We actually established them with the intention of making sure that at municipal level there is people who are genuinely assisting in crime, in crime prevention. And the second one, there is no mention of municipal courts. I mean, municipal courts were actually established. A lot of investment was actually made, but Aguna mention kushuta feel la makoti lanka accord. It's a challenge. It's a problem, you know. Hence, our crime level have reached the level eguyo with the 4,000, which gives us 12,000. Now we have 6,000 from Abo Mapanyapany. Still, I don't think there will be some form of change as long as there is no attempt to work together as law enforcement. I might be wrong, because surely you should be mentioning that working together. The vocabulary called each leaf is no longer being mentioned, and one suspects that it is no longer there. If it's there, then I think we need to strengthen it. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. So I won't repeat that point. I think it's point well emphasized. It's a point that we are going to raise also with the Department of Community Safety. But in our next engagement, we are still going to want a report in terms of coordination and integration. The issues relating to extraordinary measures, we have raised them, PC. I'm hoping that we'll take heed to some of them and see how we implement these extraordinary measures. The issue of alcohol regulation, we have mentioned it as one of the issues that comes up as a committee that we need to engage in. The traffic management now is becoming, it's not becoming, but it should be taking priority because of the festive season, beyond issues relating to crime. And I would also like to thank the PC and the team for ever being available to present themselves and to be accountable to the committee and the citizens of our team. And would like to thank the MMC and the team from Ekurhuleni and all the MPDs that are here. And maybe before we close, the MMC wanted to say a word, and then you'll close. Yeah. Thank you very much. You have to be on the mic because it's recorded.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to everyone. Chair, I thought it would never be correct that as a MMC, I sit down listening to all the reports from all the MPDs, the frustration of resources. I'm standing here lobbying the committee that we also had a meeting yesterday with Salga that we are pleading with the committee to support us in asking the licensing departments. The 80-20 is killing the MPDs. I think if we can change that ratio, municipalities can do better. And as the DCOP Umzolo has requested, that give us resources and see if we can perform. Because much of work that is not done, as you have seen and listened to the reports, is because we don't have cars. Let me just say we don't have resources. I can't count them. Reports have spoken for themselves. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you for the thing, and I think we will push the issue of coordination and integration. And as of now, thank you for being here and the audience, and the meeting stand adjourned. Thank you. The meeting is closed. We can't have a lot of, you can talk outside the meeting.
Yeah, bakholile la. Yeah, ka lo tina
Anifundanga WhatsApp.